Oh. Hello. Whoops. I forgot to turn the microphone on. Hello, SolarLune here, and this is another Gearend, or just general game development log video. Yes, indeed. It's been a little while since the last time I had a devlog video. I posted a video, so here's the new one. I've been working pretty solidly on getting Gearend and BEDX and other things together, which is very nice. So we're gonna go over what I've been doing for the past few weeks now. So to start, this is Gearend and this is Steam. Yes, I have a Steam page of for Gearend up and running. Took a little while to get everything up together, get all the screenshots and stuff. But yes, now it's available to put on your wish list and to favorite or watch or visit or whatever. You can head over to the discussion page and talk about stuff. And there's already a couple of people who have talked about things, who have discussed Steam achievements and computer specs. Yeah, so please feel free to visit the page and to favorite it or wish list it and watch it, all that stuff. Alrighty. Now the next thing I wanted to talk about was the series of improvements I made to BEDX, which is the game engine that I'm using for Gearend, which is a 3D game engine, but I'm using it for Gearend, which is a 2D game. And I've been making steady fixes and changes and improvements to the engine to facilitate Gearend, and general usage stuff, but basically main core engine changes. For example, gamepad fixes so that gamepads work pretty much the same way on Windows or Linux. Different other things, and I'm not going to go through everything on this commit list because I've been just steadily slamming away at adding different things and fixing different things. But yeah, like audio devices, an audio device rather, for global panning and volume adjustment, text lines so that you can easily like do new lines. You can shadow text objects, you can color them, you can align them differently. Material depth testing and masking is now customizable, which is useful and very important for particle effects and things like that. Screen shaders can be another fix with screen shaders. So a variety of things I've improved upon, and I continue to improve upon, and will hopefully continue to do with time. So that's all very nice. Cool. So the next thing I would like to talk about, let's see, is basically a massive update to BEDX that I did to basically make it more easy to make larger games. So okay, previously, I just bumped the microphone, sorry. Previously, Gearend was, I'm sorry, BEDX was primarily for singular blend file projects, which was fine for very small projects. Cairo was a game I made, which was a single blend file project, BEDX project, and it was fun. But basically, for Gearend, it was not working out. It was just too big, and this isn't really a huge game, but it's just too big for a single blend file. It's slow in Blender to have, 15 scenes or 10 scenes, whatever, that are all large, or most of them are large. It's slow when it's just you have so many objects, you have so much memory being eaten. It's just the editor's slow, exporting and running BEDX is slow. It's slow. So basically, I did a series of updates. It wasn't too much work, or it wasn't that many changes, but it really improved the workflow. And I'm going to go over that a little bit. So basically, this is the section. Previously, you had basically this button, create packed blend file, packed BEDX blend, and like this button, export and run BEDX. That was basically it. There wasn't too many other options, so I added these other options. These two are pretty self-explanatory and light, which is just export the data or just run the game. So now you don't have to export and run. You can just export the data or just run the game. This is basically like the showstopper for me. This was really important. Multi-blend exports. So now I can have my project split up into multiple blend files. So I have one basically a blend file for each zone in the game, which is nice. And then also only export newly updated blends. This was also a showstopper, basically. So let me give you an example of why it's important. So I split up my game into multiple blend files because previously, basically all of my scenes were in a single blend file. So that was really heavy on Blender, and then it had to export everything. So this is basically what it was like to export everything when I wanted to like test and run my game. Now this is going to be a little slower because I'm working with I'm basically, you know, I'm screen recording, so it's going to take up a lot of my CPU to do that. So this is going to take longer than it usually would, but this is basically the kind of the idea. Okay, so now it has to reload the blend file. That's something I added, was, you know, the need and the facilitation of reloading the blend file. Previously, you know, obviously if it was in a single blend file, it wouldn't need to reload, but because we're dealing with multiple blend files now, we do need to reload. So it was like, maybe, I don't know, we'll say 15 seconds, maybe 18 seconds to export all of the things. So I say, okay, you know, I do whatever I want to do. Let's say I you know, make a new whatever, and I say, okay, I want to export the data again. I have to wait another 18 seconds. Yeah, it was like 15, 16 seconds. That was constantly if I wanted to export and run my game. Now, and you know, now it's reloading, but that's a lot of time, especially if you're trying to do like, oh, I don't know, level design, where it's like, you know, you're trying to like iterate and see, oh, maybe I should try this. Oh, what if there was a block here? What if there was an enemy there? What if, you know, what if the area was designed like this or like that? You can't do that with basically 18 seconds to test, you know, small changes. It's a shame. I mean, you know, it's just too much. It just takes too much time. Now though, we have only export newly updated blends, which basically after the first export, it will only export data from the project, blend files from the project that have been updated since the last time it exported. So I'm making these changes. I'm editing the level a little bit here. Let me see. Cool. I'm covering, like, patching a little hole that was in the back, and I say export BEDX data. We come over here, and it's just exporting this blend file now. That's massive. That's massive. It doesn't even need to reload the blend because we didn't go to we don't even need to reload the current blend file because we didn't head to any other blend file because none of the others were updated. So that's really good because that allows you to have much more segmented, much smaller scenes that don't incur the wrath of existing in the same project as large scenes or other scenes. You know, you have 800 levels. We'll just say 100 levels as like a puzzle game. 80, we'll say 80 levels. That's something that's more realistic. Or 100, whatever. You have 180 levels in your puzzle game, and it takes, you know, 180 seconds to export them all, but you're only editing one level at a time. Well, why does it take so long? Why do we have to export all of the data when we're only editing a little bit at a time? That's what this update was for, to make it so that you only have to export what you change, and you only have to change what's in distinct blend files. So it's unfortunate that I came up with this or managed to get this working and merged basically toward the end of Gearend's lifespan, so development cycle. So I wasn't really able to like take advantage of this when it comes to level design. So it's like, you know, the level design isn't as good as I really would want it to be. There's other things I would like to improve and fix and you know, like, you know, really like work on, but it's just a matter of I don't have the time. I need to get this project finished. So this was merged into master a couple of months ago, I guess, maybe last month, I don't know. I've made a series of changes in line with this, basically this structure. So you can build from BEDX and grab it, or wait until the next release, which probably won't be too long, too much longer. And then I added the ability to basically start the game from a specific scene. So for example, I'm in the hub zone scene, but I might say, oh, I want to start it from the title screen. So I can just type title screen and it will start from that scene. Auto export on save, that allows me to export data when I save. So if I don't have to come down here and say export BEDX data, I can just check this, save the game, it'll export. And there it is, it's done. Now I can come back over here and let's say, you know, tweak something and say, oh, I don't want this here. I can delete it, save it, it'll export, and then it's done. Very nice, much more improved workflow. Someone is blending something, I think. Okay, so in the other room. Okay, so I'm gonna show a little bit of another improved workflow thing that basically I worked on to facilitate easier design with Gearend, and that also was merged in to master. So this is the initial this is the initial kind of cinematic when you first start the game. So I'm gonna skip past this a little bit so you can preserve this when you first start the game. Okay, so the thing that's interesting about this that I added was the ability to, firstly, now running the game is threaded. Not the game itself, not BEDX, but rather the process of running the game used to be a blocking process that Blender would launch and it would freeze Blender until the game that launched was done. Then it would give control back to Blender and you'd be able to continue. That obviously was slow. So now it's basically running in a different thread. So the game's running and we can come over here and make a change to the level design, for example, in Blender, which is very nice. And to facilitate this even better, for example, let's say I delete this. I had a sneeze coming, but then it just decided to leave. Let's say I delete this area, right? Okay. Now, something else that's very nice is I can go ahead and say export BEDX data, or with auto export on save I can save, and it'll export the data, and the game will automatically reload the scene. You see the, let's see, yeah, this area is missing. The thing I had, the pod there was that was there, is also missing. It updated. That's very nice because now I don't have to relaunch the game just to get the game running, just to test something out, which is really cool. Yeah, this is basically fundamentally, it's not very complex. When you export something from Blender, it just writes a file out that says, hey, I'm done exporting when it's done exporting. And I just had a slight modification to the engine that basically looks for this file, and if it exists, it'll just reload the engine. So that makes it very nice. Why is this up here? Let's delete that. Export. And it's done, and it's reloading, and there it is. It's gone. So this is very nice because this allows basically almost a zero friction workflow between the editor and the game. Super cool. There's still a couple of things that I would like to add in light of this. It might be worthwhile to add the ability to define, well, yeah, I was thinking of basically like maybe you could define a list of components that a object could have, and that would be very useful because that would almost allow you to customize the code of an object by just adding components in Blender and not really needing to reload the game entirely, not needing to relaunch and recompile your code because the components already exist. The components have already been compiled, and in Blender you can just say, oh, instead of having this component, I want it to have that component, or instead of having a health component with 100 health, I can give it 400 health. That kind of stuff. So there's a couple of things that I might want to consider because this workflow is very nice, very, very smooth. Okay, let's see. That's more or less everything when it comes to that. Let me show a little bit of the game. A little bit of the game. Again, skipping through this stuff. Let me see. Okay. So it looks pretty much more or less the same. Just some slight improvements to this particular opening area. It's a little choppy because again I'm recording the entire screen. I'm not recording the game itself because obviously I need to switch from thing to thing, and I'm not trying to stitch together an entire video for this, edit it in Blender and all that stuff. So yeah, things are looking pretty good. Things are feeling pretty good. Yeah, let's back these guys up a little bit. I'm going to show a new leg part, which is this, which allows you to fly a little bit. And something that I like is that, or something I'm trying to do rather, is make it so that there's not really a better leg. I'm trying to get it so that it's not like you equip these legs or these arms or these this core and that's what you stick with the entire game. I want them to serve different purposes so that you don't feel like, oh, I found the best thing, but rather you switch it around as the game progresses. This is a giant door. You'll figure out what that's for and why eventually. Yeah, so the game is feeling a little bit better, feeling more game-like with things to explore and enemies to fight and all that stuff. I was going to walk over in this area to the hub zone to kind of show a little bit more, a couple more NPCs that say different things, a couple more doors to go through, a couple more things here and there. Yeah, so everything, let's see, yeah, everything is working out pretty well. And this actually is a nice segue to this area. This door does lead elsewhere, but only in the final version of Gearend. Sorry about that. So basically, I added a set of dialogue, I guess you could say, that basically doors that lead to different zones won't lead there in the demo version of Gearend, which, you know, this is kind of just set as the demo version of the game. So that's what I'm going to do. I was going to do a public beta test or alpha or something to that effect, but I decided no, that's limiting the amount of feedback I can receive. It's better to just have everyone who is interested play. So I'm going to make a demo that just basically allows you to play around in this particular zone, the hub zone, and won't allow you to exit, so you can kind of get a feel of the gameplay and how the game runs for you and all that stuff. Cool. So yeah, I'll put a link, not a link, I'll put information out, like I'll put information out on YouTube on my channel here that says like when, the public demo is up, please feel free to download it and give me some feedback. Cool. Let's see. So that's been going pretty well. The packaging process that I've been using for Gearend is Packer. So Gearend is a game built in BEDX. It's a 3D engine, but that's built on libGDX, which is a 2D and 3D Java framework. So I use Packer, which is a tool. I was going to show it, but there's nothing to show on this particular screen. It's just this is the tool itself. I use Packer to package pre-built Java runtime environments in with my game. And so I have a script that does this for me, that basically just runs Packer along with a configuration for each operating system. And so I have like my JDK builds, JRE or JDK rather, builds located, and I give the location and I tell it what the executable should be called and where the game jar file is and the main class to run and all that stuff. So that's all really nice, well, and good. The game itself, when it, let me see. Yeah, the game itself, when it comes to being packed, is really small. I was able to get it small, rather small. Altogether, it's going to be probably around the 60 megabyte size. Oh, 100 megabytes. So that's not bad. It's not bad. It's pretty small because it's got the JRE and the game itself, which is only 40 megabytes. That's cool. Oh right. So I was going to say all this because the builds I've been looking around, and the only builds I could find are 64-bit builds. So if you have a 32-bit computer, I won't be able to create a native supported method of you playing the game. The best thing I could come up with, that I could figure, is basically packaging a batch file or excuse me, a batch or bash file that will run Java your computer's version of Java with the game jar. So basically that would mean that you would have to install Java 8 on your computer, and then you would be able to run the game. That's the best thing I could come up with, because I just could not find any other like pre-built JDKs, and the ones I found that are working still fine are from Zulu, but they only have 64-bit builds. So I'm sorry, if you have a 32-bit build, you'll have to install Java yourself, and then you can play, hopefully. I'll have to test that. As for testing, I also found this program called NitroShare, which is very nice. It's a really light program. It exists. I found it, and it works. And the goal of this program is basically to share files or directories or whatever across gravity. It's the only force that exceeds the boundaries of dimensions is NitroShare. That's the only force. No, it's I wonder if anyone will get that reference. But basically, what this does is it allows you to send files to other computers on your network. So what this does, I'll show it. I can say, okay, I have my game, I build it into a jar. I use Gradle W to like package it into a jar, and I can say take that jar and send it to my laptop, and it'll go ahead and start sending it, and it'll be done in a couple seconds. And this is good because otherwise I'd have to resort to using Dropbox or something to like sync it to a cloud and then have it download to my computer, which obviously it doesn't work if the internet's down. It doesn't work if you know, it's slow because it's going all, you know, it's uploading to a server rather than just sending it to a local device. So this runs really quickly, which is very nice. I've been working on getting armature animation working in BEDX because I want to. Not really any other reason. And it's not really I'm not doing it myself. I'm just looking into exporting data, mesh data from Blender into an intermediary format, FBX, converting it to G3DB or J, and then loading that into our game for the meshes to use, or loading that in as meshes for BEDX to use. So that's working more or less. I still have to get some things fixed, but that would be a nice feature, very nice for a 3D engine. Armature animation's pretty much key. You gotta have it if you want to do like pretty much anything in 3D. So that's very nice. Alright, well, that's basically it. I could keep talking about things, but there's not a lot more to talk about other than just it's been a lot of work, but I've been pretty much socking it away. So I'm pretty happy with my results. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I've been SolarLune, and this has been a Gearend and general game development devlog video. Thank you very much. Peace. I'm out.